I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I'm in no contact, but I'm so lost. It can feel completely overwhelming, scary, sad. We get overwhelmed with so many different emotions, hopeless in no contact. And believe me, I know because I've been there. And that's why we do what we do. And we really love helping people through their breakups. And I always say this at the end of the videos, but if you ever want to get a coaching with us, you just sign up on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching, I do Skype, and Coach Victoria does Skype coaching.
I'm also here whenever you need.
So we know how difficult it is to go through a breakup. And when you're in no contact, it feels like nothing's ever going to change. Yeah. It's never going to turn around. They're never going to come back. And you just get so overwhelmed that you just kind of want to quit, but you don't quit. You're stuck. I had a guy the other day who was so stuck. And we had done a coaching a while ago, and he was not really doing any kind of work. He was kind of caught in between, she's never going to come back, but I'm optimistic she's going to come back. But he wasn't doing anything to grow, to change, to make the situation any better in that time. And so we talked a lot about that. And, afterwards he got the creative healing course. He said, all right, I'm going to do it because, he's in a situation where he's probably going to hear from his ex. He bumped into her recently and he's not really ready. So I'm like, you don't want to see her right now because you haven't done anything to change.
Right. And we can get so caught up in this feeling of being lost, of that uncertainty and worry and fear, that it does almost paralyze us from moving forward on our own personal journey and doing that work to prepare for our ex or somebody else.
Assume they will come back. Okay? Assume they will come back. Because even if they don't, you will still stay motivated enough to grow and change. Okay? We're not saying stick around forever, hold on to hope forever, because you might not hear from that person. But how would you prepare yourself if they were going to come back? Wouldn't you want to be ready for that? And so try to have the mindset of, I'm most likely going to hear from them again, and I'm going to be ready when they do. I think that is a successful mindset. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, we got an email coaching today from somebody that's feeling hopeless and no contact, right? Not that everybody doesn't, at least at times. So this is a guy who's in his late 20s and he was dating a girl a few years younger. He was an only child and she grew up in a bigger family and has a bunch of siblings. He says that she is in university and he currently has a job, and they were together for about 4 years. He said she broke up with me suddenly in April of this year. We both live with our parents, but lived together for 8 months in a house behind my mother's house. The first 3.5 years were great. So the last 6 months were not so great. What happened, right? It was kind of wonder, why does it fall apart like that? Did something happen?
Yeah, there's normally some sort of catalyst.
Yeah. And that's what we're always looking for. Like, what change happened there? Why did this fall apart? I mean, because he's saying 3.5 years are great. Think about that. They're together 4 years. 3.5 years of those years are great. That's 80% of the time was great or more. You would think, somebody would take a lot longer to leave if the first 3.5 out of 4 years are great. You know what I mean? It's not like he's saying we were together for 4 years and the first year was great and the last 3 were terrible.
Right.
So it's like you would think somebody would stick around longer. So what happened? She is what I want in a partner. She's kind, emotional, gentle, and such a humble, loving person. Been going to therapy and listening to your podcast has been a major help. By the way, we are podcasted. I literally always forget to say it. I never say that we're podcasted, but we are podcasted. Do you have any ideas how many episodes we have up on the podcast?
Quite a few.
Hundreds, right?
Probably.
I would say at least hundreds.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many. You can find us on all the major platforms, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
Apple, everything. So check us out there. From your creative healing course, I believe I have a mix of secure and anxious abandonment issues because my father left when I was 3 months old and had major bullying when I was a kid. So that sounds pretty traumatic, major bullying.
Oh, yeah. And also a parent leaving when he was so young. He said 3 months old.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because mom, it's not just dad is leaving. Now we have a single mom having to take care of a newborn. You know what I mean? And so there's a big difference when there's 2 parents in the house taking care of an infant and one all of a sudden is leaving. That one parent is exhausted all the time. They have to work, take care of a baby. It's a lot. Right.
And not only to mention the emotional impact that it has on that mother.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So losing that
She's
resource,
devastated. Her partner's left her. It's tough. I think my ex has a mix of avoidant and anxious. She was told when she was a child from her father that she was too needy and emotional, and that stuck with her. Yeah, because it's like you have a child trying to tell you what they need, and they're like, oh, you're too emotional, too needy. Like, basically, leave me alone. I don't want to deal with you. Because that's how people can be, dismissive like that.
Yeah, and for the avoidant, they end up giving up. So if you hear messages like that, which if that was one that stood out, it's probably one of many. It's probably one of many experiences where she felt that her needs were shut down. It's something that over time you realize, okay, me asking for what I need doesn't work.
Yep.
And so you just give up.
Exactly.
So, wow. And I give him major props for putting all of this together. You can see that he's done some work here.
Yeah, well, he said he's doing the creative healing course, so he's getting it.
Yeah.
He said, I constantly reassured her that I loved her and that she was emotional and never was she too needy. Well, that was kind of him. Shaking and barely able to speak, told me she doesn't see a future and isn't in love with me anymore, but cares about me very much.
Wow.
Uh-oh, doesn't see a future. What's going on there? Told me that she was harboring problems that she didn't dare talk to me about because she didn't want to hurt me. Now that is a very unusual thing to say. I don't want to talk to you about my problems because they'll hurt you. So when you hear something like that, it makes me think, okay, it must somehow be correlated to him. Because why would it hurt his feelings if it had nothing to do with him?
Right, and I agree.
Right? So what is going on there? Was she not feeling attracted to him anymore? Was something he doing turning her off? Was it about his personality? I mean, it could be anything.
It could be. And the words harboring problems, meaning that this has been on her mind for a while and she's been keeping it to herself. Margaret used to always say that it does take a level of psychic energy to withhold, to suppress. So the fact that she's keeping all of this to herself, I'm sure has impacted the relationship and also the timeline. The last 6 months, has it been for that amount of time that she's been harboring these problems? Has it been longer? It's hard when she's not really giving much here to him about the reason.
Well, we're going to get some more info, but just hearing that is a little bit unusual because it really, feels like it's somehow about him, because she's saying she didn't dare talk to me about the problems because she didn't want to hurt me. So I'm just like, what is she thinking and feeling? I would really love to know that, because that's a big obstacle. Once you know that, now you can navigate much easier, because you got to know what that thing is. It seems like whatever that particular thing is a big component of why this is ending, right? Okay. She didn't want to hurt me and hoped they would fix themselves. But then she mentally exploded with everything else that was stressing her in life and couldn't take it anymore. She was about to start her finals when she broke up with me. Told me she didn't feel like herself anymore and wanted to do what was best for her. Interesting stuff going on here. It's not lining up, is it? It's kind of all over the place here.
Yeah. And I'm curious about her finals. Is she graduating soon? Is this a new phase of her life? Or is this just a final, one of many? She's still in a program.
Yeah.
I think that would make a difference. A lot of times we do see breakups in these almost these landmarks or milestones, because there's this renewed sense of independence, this new fresh way of looking at the world.
Yep.
But here it's not really clear if that's the case or not.
Yeah, but even what she's saying, it feels kind of ambiguous. It doesn't feel like there's anything that you can really pinpoint. It's like these vague kind of answers, right?
And we can see that even though she is emotional, or he describes her as emotional, her being hesitant to give the full story here might be some of that avoidance coming through.
Yeah.
Being able to hold that type of information for however long she did does lean more toward that avoidance side, afraid to say.
Yeah. Avoidance can be very matter of fact. Like, this is this thing that you do and I don't like it. And the anxious person's like, you do this thing and it really annoys me, but I still love you. And the avoidance just like, yeah, but I can't take it anymore, right?
Right.
All right. Everybody in her family were shocked that she took this decision, and they felt that she had too much going on and sensed that she was not clear-minded. We had already picked a girl name for our children and were in the process of saving for an apartment, so the no future didn't make any sense. Meaning, okay, so he's saying it didn't make sense that she said, I don't see a future with you. It makes sense to me. I get that. But everything else around it is like not quite meshing together. Right? I went no contact straight away and managed a week. She texted me because I had to deliver her stuff back, mainly because my mom pushed me. Okay, there's the parents giving bad breakup advice. She should have just left it alone. He could have left it alone. She was at her work and her father helped me. She texted me that night and wanted to hand me my stuff back, and I asked if we could talk. She was still studying for her finals, and she told me that she still believes that this was the right decision. Well, of course, it doesn't sound like there had been any time there, so she didn't have enough time to even change her mind yet.
Right.
I told her I respect her decision, but I don't agree with it. Went no contact again, and noticed that she was slowly deleting pictures of us and felt heartbreak every time I saw it. Well, that is the worst feeling. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've talked about going on stage, having to go on stage in front of a huge audience, probably a few hundred people, and literally watching my pictures deleted before I'm going on stage. That was horrible.
Brutal.
I had two of my good friends there with me that night, so it made it a lot easier, but it was pretty bad. All right. I knew that she was finished with the finals. I really wanted to talk to her, thinking maybe she was more clear-minded with the finals out of the way. I broke the no contact and texted her, and she would want to meet and talk. I asked
If she would want to.
Okay, I'll try that again. I broke the no contact and texted her if she wanted to meet and talk. She was still set on her decision and happy.
And it's seeming like so far, every time somebody is asking or checking in, hey, do you still want to break up? She's almost seeing it as a little bit of a challenge. You know, I'm getting the sense that she's trying to really say, no, this is my decision. I've made up my mind, and almost digging her feet in the sand here.
Yeah, there could be some of that going on for sure. I tried to be calm, but still cried and told her I've been going to therapy and wanted to go see a couples therapist. She didn't want to. And I could have told you she probably was going to say that. I mean, that's what happens almost every time.
Right.
That stuff's got to be done, you know, in the relationship, not after the breakup. Saying that you'll get in couples counseling after the breakup rarely does anything. In fact, a lot of times it makes it worse because now they're angry at you. Because they're saying, well, I asked you 30 million times to get into therapy while we were together and you refused. Now you want to do it? Valid point.
Right. Or they're thinking, now you're asking efforts of me after the breakup, after I've made my decision.
Yeah.
Feels almost like a disrespect to what they're wanting and what they're telling you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I asked about the problem she was holding in. I was too defensive and always had to get her on my side. She told me that I should be less serious with myself. He says more to be said in parentheses. 1 month after the breakup, I lost my job. I'm in no contact, but I'm so lost. I want her back. What do I do now? Okay, so this is suspicious to me. I don't feel like we have any real clear answers why she even wanted this breakup. I get the feeling that there's another guy in this picture somewhere.
It's a possibility.
Just the things that she's saying, she's kind of giving vague answers. And the thing that was interesting to me is that I should be less serious with myself. It almost feels like she's comparing him to somebody new. That's the vibe I get. Like, oh, this new guy that I'm talking to isn't serious. He's so funny and you're so serious.
It's a possibility.
That's just what my gut is wondering here, because I don't feel like I'm getting really authentic answers from her. So when I see that, I try to put things together a little bit more.
Yeah. I got from the less serious that she was being very dismissive of him. You know, he's clearly going through some emotional process from this breakup, which seems to be shocking to him and coming almost out of nowhere for him. And her saying, oh, be less serious about it. Basically, I hope you take this breakup easier. Which, you know, that to me, it's not
minimizing what he's going through.
Yeah, it's not a very empathetic response.
No.
But I agree with you that there is something here. You would think that if the reason was that she lost attraction for him or something like that, why then? You know, we're always asking this question, why now is the breakup happening?
He could have been smothering, you know, and just got, he admitted he's anxious, she's avoidant. He could have been smothering her, which would have made her get turned off by him.
But the words hurting him, you know, I would think that there's a way to express that without it becoming something that she was harboring. You know, it's a possibility that she hinted at it. Maybe communication isn't her strong suit, and in her mind she's tried. We've talked about this dynamic before too. You know, where it's, I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah, because she said that whatever's been bothering her, she didn't want to tell him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of what's going on here. If he's going to turn this around, he's got to figure out what that particular thing is. And obviously, I'm not saying he should reach out and ask her. But if, you know, first of all, you got to leave her be and let her miss you. And then when she reaches out, you're going to have to say, like, help me understand what's going on here. Like, I don't understand what it is that, you know, you were feeling or thinking that you couldn't even tell me about. Right? But what is that thing? Because if he figures out what that thing is, I think he can navigate better. But I feel like we're missing a big piece of the puzzle. And until we know what that info is, what can you do?
I agree. And a part of me wonders, is this because she doesn't want to hurt him, or is this because it's hard for her to tell him? Those are two different things.
She did say she didn't want to hurt me. She said...
She could have said that. But it could have been something hard for her to say.
But I think it's hard for her to say about him. That's what it feels like. Because he doesn't want to... I think it's about him, and she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. That's what it feels like.
Right. I'm saying that it could be hard for her to say. So she's saying, I don't want to hurt you by saying this information.
Yes.
When really she's saying, I'm terrified of being very transparent with you and honest with you.
Yeah.
In my mind, if she respects him enough, she will let him know the truth, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And Margaret used to say, you can say anything as long as you deliver it in a gentle tone, as long as you deliver it in a kind tone. You know what? That might take some work for her. She might not know how. But I believe that he deserves the truth and the bare minimum. And not having a reason for this breakup obviously is affecting him too. You know, in her mind, she's thinking, well, you know, if I don't tell him, then I'm protecting him. But clearly we see that he's having a hard time here. And the amount of uncertainty that's coming from not knowing what's going on can be just as painful as, okay, here's what it is, now deal with it.
Yep, absolutely. I'd much rather know what it is than not know what it is, because when you don't know, you can make yourself just obsess over that. But if you know, at least you're like, even if it's something you can't change, right? At least I know what it is. I can deal with that,
right.
As opposed to like, it could be a million different things. And if they just told me, maybe I could repair it, you know?
And it would make an impact on how he heals from this. You know, if she did tell him, okay, this was a betrayal. Okay, there was some infidelity going on. She was involved with somebody else, whatever. This could be a major deal breaker for him and can cause him to see the breakup a lot differently rather than it was, okay, you were too smothering. You know, so I agree with you that that piece of information is really important.
Yep.
And I agree that at this point, there's no way to juice that information out of her. She may not even be honest with you if you do ask her. So you're at a decision of, okay, now we have the breakup. This was her decision. And what am I going to do to heal from this without knowing? Is there a way to find closure without it having to come from her mouth?
Yeah. I think, you know, he's got to leave her alone, and she's got to miss you, and you can't be too eager. You kind of have to have your guard up a little bit, because you need to know that piece of information. And I if I was him, I'd be like, I don't really want to get into stuff too much unless you're willing to tell me what you were really thinking and feeling at that time that you felt like you couldn't tell me, because I would feel like if I knew what that was, now we can deal with it. But until, I don't want to get back into this building rapport, spending time together, till I know what that is, because I'm going to always feel like there's an elephant in the room and we're not talking about it.
And I think even the way of her mentioning it, no, I don't want to hurt you, so I'm not telling you this. It's kind of like saying, like when you're about to say something and somebody's like, oh, what did you say, or what did you mean? And they're like, oh, never mind. You're just like, what did you say? You brought it up. So now that you've mentioned it, you have to finish your thought.
Yep.
So to me, it's not helpful for her to let him know, oh, there's something here, but it's going to hurt you, so I'm not going to tell you. You know, that she could have just kept that to herself.
Yeah.
This would have been a totally different situation.
Yeah, exactly. If she didn't tell him that, now he's going to sit there and wonder about it.
Right.
So it's a tough situation, because part of me would be wondering if there's another guy in the picture, and that's why she lost attraction. Part of me would be thinking, oh, that there was a less serious guy that she was attracted to, and she's comparing me. I'd be, you know, kind of all these things that we're bringing up. But ultimately, you need her to miss you, and then see if you can get that information and navigate from there. But, you know, don't reach out to her. And don't
jump to conclusions either. I know we're speculating a lot in this video.
Sure.
But don't say, okay, Coach Craig thinks that she's cheating. How dare you cheat on me? And don't do that.
I don't even necessarily think that she was cheating in any way. My gut would tell me, if I had to guess, it would be something along the lines of, there's a guy that she just started working with, a newer guy that she's attracted to. He's flirting with her here and there, and all of a sudden, after years of being with him, she's, you know, kind of turned off by his smothering behavior, and she's more attracted to this new guy that she doesn't really know. That would be, I don't think she necessarily cheated or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So just be careful of jumping to conclusions. We don't know the reasons. These are just things that we have seen in the past. These are just some patterns that we see. So
we're basically trying to fill in missing puzzle pieces,
right?
What we think they could be.
Right,
yeah,
right. And consider for yourself all the possible options. but also keeping an open mind. End of the day, she decided to end it. There was something there that could have hurt you. If it was a behavior that she engaged in that would have been hurtful to you, if it was something that she thought or some other person that she was interested in. Ultimately, she decided to end the relationship, and so that is the information that we have to go off of. And I will say that your healing is not dependent on her answers.
That's right. It's a tough situation because sometimes you're in a situation where you just aren't getting a lot of information, or it's just not adding up, and it makes you kind of like, what is happening here? And I get that. But one of the things that's not confusing about the situation is what you have to do. And I mean, I think it's very clear. You got to stop reaching out, and she needs to miss you and want to share stuff with you in order to repair it. Okay? So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you're ready.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.